Welcome back and good morning. Now, the absence of fathers is worsening economic hardship in many households. President Cyril Ramaphosa said this in his Women's Day message yesterday. He also said that over 141 million rand has been pledged so far in the first phase of a gender-based violence and femicide private sector response fund. Let's get some reaction to this from an organization providing services for women and children. Ilitha Labantu, its spokesperson, is Siyabulela Monakali, who joins me right now for this conversation. Sia, thank you for your time and good morning to you. Obviously, that amount, 141 million rand, being announced by the president. Do you think this will be enough just to help in the fight against GBV in this country?
Good morning. I certainly do not, as an organization, Ilitha Labantu, we advocate against violence against women and children for over 32 years. And how much 140 million with regards to trying to address the scourge is simply not enough. When we have an understanding that conservative estimates estimate that gender-based violence costs the nation between 24.3 billion and 42.3 billion a year. So 140 million that has been pledged from the private sector is simply not enough to actually address the issue of gender-based violence in our nation.
Yeah, Siyabulela, you also say this because you work on a daily basis with, these cases around GBV and femicide. What does your work entail? What do you see each and every day as the reality of women and I suppose of children as well on the ground?
The sad part about when Women's Month does come around is that we only, as a nation, we only come to highlight these issues during these months of Women's Month and the 16 days of activism, when we have an understanding that gender-based violence it happens throughout the year. And it affects every fabric of our society, irrespective of if you're a man or a woman. You are either directly affected or indirectly affected. And, since the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic, what has been particularly concerning is the sheer brutality at which some of these incidents are actually being carried out. Because even yesterday, we received a call of a young woman who, in Nyanga, understanding obviously Nyanga is the murder capital of South Africa and has been so for the past decade or so. We received an incident where a young woman, her body was found and the throat was slit. These type of incidences happen on a daily basis, particularly in the Cape Flats, where our offices, our centers are based. And what we particularly find is that when communities have high rates of crime and violence, women and children often always suffer the brunt of that violence. Yeah. And this is a sad state of affairs.
And it seems that is your perspective, Siyabulela. The president, on the other hand, during his address, saying that progress has been made by government. I just want to mention a couple of examples that he mentioned, which he regards as progress from a government's perspective. 32 regional courts being designated as sexual offenders courts in various parts of the country. Over 3,500 family violence, child protection and sexual offences. Investigating officers receiving specialized training to do their work. And also around 12 public buildings which are turned into shelters for survivors and victims. Is this significant enough for you? Is this progress enough for you?
No. What we also have to understand is that access for justice for survivors continues to be an area of concern. As we feel that South Africa's security cluster, which is made up of the police and the courts, continue to fail women because far too often, violence against women, perpetrators of violence against women and children are they receive light sentences for the crimes that they've committed. And just to look at, say, the year of 2018 and 2019, there were roughly over 52,000 reported sexual offences. However, only 9% of those cases resulted in successful conviction, meaning that this means that 90% of cases of rape and sexual assault, harassment, incest, and so forth did not receive, the conviction that they require. And, the unfortunate part is that, we need a more tangible commitment with regards to addressing the issue of violence against women in South Africa, and the issue of shelters, particularly during the pandemic. Well, we found that many places of care and shelters were being closed down simply because everyone was trying to mitigate against the spread of COVID-19, and many women were forced then to stay at home with their potential abusers. This is why then you found that at the beginning of the lockdown, within the first 4 weeks, you found that there were over 95,000 calls to the police with regards to domestic violence cases. So it's simply not enough that's being done. And the sad part is that with the occurrence of this COVID-19, it has farly exacerbated pre-existing conditions. So those are the type of issues that we would like to hope that government and the president would actually try to outline some of those gray areas.
And that's definitely one for government to consider. But thank you for highlighting it. Ilitha Labantu, spokesperson, Siyabulela Monakali, thank you for your time.